feel like there's like a rock in my arm.
There might be.
At this point.
Sitting there. Well, it might just be sitting there, you know, so you gotta kind of like
I
move
know,
it around a bit.
I gotta like move it around. I forgot about that, and then I went to like the store, and then I was driving along, and I realized like I had literally been like holding my arm like down at my side the entire time that I was driving. I was like, why does my arm hurt so bad? Because you're not fucking moving it, Gillian.
You gotta move it around.
You gotta help it get to the parts that it's gotta go.
Exactly. It's like shit. Okay.
I got my COVID booster. That's why I'm not just like being a fucking weirdo.
I mean, you'll see that later too, but
well, yeah, that's different. This is for a very particular reason. The weirdo thing will come later. This is a reason.
So,
hello guys.
Hi, how are you guys? So this episode, we're going to be ranking Marauders Era Characters. Now, Gillian.
Yes, I have a confession to make. I'm a horrible fangirl. When it comes to Marauders Era fan fiction, I never really got into it. I never really read any of it. So outside of the characters that are like actually specifically mentioned, like James and Lily and Sirius and Remus and like those people, I have no fucking clue who half of these Marauders characters are. Kaitlynn made the list. I was like, Kaitlynn, you go ahead and make the list. She makes the list. I go and I look at it one day and I'm like, who the fuck are half of these? I'm seeing like Dorcas and a Mary and I now remember Fabian and Gideon, but it took me a minute. I was like, who the fuck? There's nobody named Fabian. It took me a minute to remember, but I did remember who they were. But like half of these characters, I was like, I have no fucking clue who they are.
Well, wait until you see the fan cast. So when I made this tier list, guys, okay, I made it with the fan cast that I personally like. So I picked the actors that I personally, in my dream Marauders movie, who I would want to play. Okay, so I know that there's a bunch of other people that can be cast that other people like to put in there. Cool. Okay, but this is mine. So go with that.
I'll recognize some of them because I was on Tumblr when like the Marauders era, like the first fan cast started coming around. Like I remember all of that, and I am aware that there were other characters that people were adding to the canon. I'm aware that these characters like existed in the fan fiction and that they were much more fleshed out. I just never read any of them. So the only one that I feel like I actually have like a good frame of reference on, was there a girl that dated Remus? Like Mary or something like that?
I mean, okay. So this is where it gets a little crazy because some people are Wolfstar shippers. So they're like Sirius and Remus together. So some fanfictions don't have Remus dating another girl. And some of them have like Sirius dates Mary in some of them, Sirius dates Dorcas in some of them. If like Remus and Sirius aren't together, then yeah, there's some where Remus will date Mary and stuff like that. So like it's not like set in stone if they actually dated anyone or not. The only like couple that's actually set is James and Lily.
Yeah, that's the only one that we know of that exists. Can I have a quick side note on that real fast? I would just like to say it is very weird that when Remus and Sirius are telling Harry all of these things about his parents, and they tell him all of these things about James, like he was the Quidditch player, he was the bully, he was the star of the class, like the class clown, like the ringleader, like all these things, and then they're like, and then like Harry doesn't ask about Lily. He doesn't even ask any questions about what she was like, and then like the basic thing that they always go to is just like the one thing that Harry knows about his mom is that I have her eyes. Like that's it. Yeah. We don't know jack shit about Lily's personality in the canon.
Yeah. I mean, it makes
I just
it
wanted
fun
to bring that
write
up real
about.
fast. That's just a little side note that was bothering me when I was thinking about this list, because I was like, look at all these people that they just never mentioned to Harry that were like part of his family's friend group. Look at all of these people that Harry could have been left with instead of the Dursleys.
Mm-hmm.
And they never mention any of them. The only one they ever talk about is James.
Well, that's another thing that you can talk about is like there's a lot of like different fan fictions that have it, like, you know, Sirius was Harry's godfather, and a lot of iterations, I don't know if it's canon or not because they never actually talk about it, but godfathers or godparents can't actually hurt their godchildren like in any way.
Mm-hmm.
So wouldn't him betraying his best friends or Harry's parents be hurting Harry? So how would he have been able to betray them? So why? And plus, he was never given a trial. Sirius was never given a trial. Nobody
No.
fought for Sirius to have a trial.
There's literally a spell that you can cast on somebody's wand to see what the last spell they cast is. I don't know if that's canon or not, but I'm pretty certain we see people.
I'm pretty sure it is.
They're like, what was the last spell he cast? And like, that's a way of determining if they were guilty or not. Like, I think they did it with one of the Death Eaters.
Well, it is because in Goblet of Fire at the Quidditch game, remember Harry and all of them were
That's
like,
right. The one, they were like, what's the last spell that it cast? And it was Morse Mordray, the one that's cast the Dark Mark.
Yeah, and
that's
the one
right.
that
so
little
they
elf.
literally could have just taken his wand and been like, what was the last spell he cast? Oh, it was not Avada Kedavra. He clearly didn't do it.
I mean, they knew that Voldemort did it, but the ones like to
no, I'm talking about
the Felicitas.
He just got arrested because he was suspected of murdering people.
Yeah.
And like, he didn't cast like the spell that Sirius said that he cast last before his wand was confiscated was a defensive spell. So if they had just checked, they would have seen that he didn't cause the explosion, so he didn't kill Peter. But this just goes to show, we're going to start with some quick Dumbledore bashing before we get into the ranking. This just goes to show that Dumbledore does not fucking care about people unless they have a use to him. Sirius no longer had a use to him because James no longer existed. He wasn't taking care of Harry. There was nothing for Sirius to do anymore. Harry had to go into hiding
because he didn't want him to take. He didn't want to take it.
He didn't want Harry because he wanted Harry to grow up in the human world for, various reasons. Even though I will still maintain that he knew that the Dursleys were awful, and then as soon as he found out that the Dursleys were flat out abusing him, starving him, beating him, basically essentially treating him like a slave, there's no excuse to leave him there. At that point, that's doing more harm than it's doing good. I don't care.
But see, there's a lot of fan fictions that have it like where he wanted that because he wanted Harry to be, submissive and
eaten down,
look at him as a hero.
Exactly.
A hero so and the savior.
And think about it. Who is the person that he sends to collect Harry to go to Diagon Alley? Hagrid. Hagrid owes everything in his life to Dumbledore. So of course, the first person that Harry is being introduced to as his first, intro into the wizarding world is super pro Dumbledore.
Exactly. And Hagrid's also the first person that gets him a birthday cake and a birthday present. Hagrid's the first one that takes him to his place. So, obviously he's going to trust Hagrid.
Super nice to Harry. Like, he goes out of his way to be, completely different from how his family is, how the Dursleys are, so that way he would be like, oh, human, muggle, bad. Wizard, and also good.
And also, you're going to tell me that Hagrid didn't go and be like, hey, Dumbledore, Harry's family's kind of messed up. They didn't tell him anything.
McGonagall sat outside of their fucking house all day. You're gonna tell me that nobody ever in the 11 years before that they went to go give him his letter, nobody double checked on him, nobody took a peek, nobody looked in a looking glass or did a fucking vision or anything? You're gonna tell me nobody knew that for 10 years he was being abused? Nobody
thought to, and that's my other point of Dumbledore wanting it, because Dumbledore probably told everybody, oh, don't worry, I checked on him, he's good, he's fine, he's doing great, I checked on him, I looked in. Yeah, I bet he did.
Yeah, bet. Show me the proof then, Dumbledore. Because, like, I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe he needed Harry to be controllable.
Willing to sacrifice himself.
If he had given him to Sirius would have made him super headstrong, super independent, like, questioning, rebellious. Like, he would not have listened to what Dumbledore needed him to do. And he would not have been, I think, as willing to just accept that his entire life Dumbledore never told him that he would have to die.
Mm-hmm. And I also think that Dumbledore scared Remus into leaving Harry like alone and being like, look, because I guarantee you, if Peter, fuck Peter, I guarantee you, if
we know that there are Peter redemptionists out there, Peter loyalists out there. I get that he technically got a redemption arc in the end of the book by not killing Harry or whatever and letting him out of the cell. It doesn't negate the fact that he was a spy.
The only reason that he let Harry out of the cell at the end is because he owed Harry a life debt. Because when Harry saved his life from Remus and Sirius in the third book, he owed him a life debt. Yeah. And so he had to do what Harry said. So Harry invoked it, and that's why Harry was like, yo, kill yourself.
Well, the Hand killed Peter at the end because the Hand was made by Voldemort, and so the Hand sensed that betrayal and killed him for it. Because it was given to him by Dumbledore. Which, that is totally botched in the movies, by the way. They don't do that any justice. Like, does he even die in the movies?
Who, Peter?
Yeah. Like, do we see him get strangled in the movies?
Yeah, we see him down the cellar, like, getting strangled. And it's very quick, mainly because they have to get up to get Hermione and stuff. But, like, they have that interaction, and I don't remember if in the movies Harry told him to do it, or if the Hand just did it. I don't really remember.
In the books, the Hand just does it.
Okay, I think in the movies, Harry might have told him to do it, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. But even in the books, because Patrick was listening to the audiobooks, he was re-listening to them, Harry's, like, by the time Harry gets to the 6th and 7th books, when, especially the 7th one, after Dumbledore dies, he's a little unhinged. He's kind of over it. He's a very angry, jaded person by the end of the books. He literally yells at Remus in the books. Like, so, when they're at Grimmauld Place, when they're, like, hiding and everything, and they're trying to figure out how to get the locket, Remus comes and sees them, and is like, hey, you guys need an adult on this journey. I'm willing to be that adult with you. I'll go on the run. I'll go into hiding with you. And Harry gets it out of him that Tonks is pregnant, and he's like, so you're gonna fucking abandon your wife with your unborn child to come on an adventure with us? And he's like, I'm not abandoning them. He will be better. The child will be better off without me in it because I'm a werewolf and I don't know, like, what he's gonna be. Me being around him could make him a werewolf. And he's like, and Harry, like, calls him out on it. He's like, you're a fucking shit father. You're acting like you think my dad would be proud of you for what you're doing right now? Like, he goes off on Remus to the point that Remus, I think, almost fucking hits him. Like, Remus, like, stands up from the table and pulls out his wand, and you, like, think he's gonna, like, fucking Crucio that bitch. Like, he is pissed. And Harry doesn't even fucking flinch. Harry's like, get the fuck out of here. We don't want you. We don't need you. Go. So, that's one of the things that I will not give the movies credit for. Harry is much more, like, and it makes more sense if you think about everything that he's gone through, being abused when he was, from 0 to 11, and then his entire world gets flipped on his head, and he's just constantly going through battle after battle. Of course he's gonna be, like, jaded and pissed off, and he's not gonna be, like, super, like, he's gonna fucking snap at someone. Come on!
Yeah, he just so happens to be one of the people who was supposed to be there. Because, like, let's be real here, Remus was supposed to be there. But I definitely think that Dumbledore had convinced Remus, and, like, got in his head, be like, no, it's too dangerous for you to go, go see him. Like, you shouldn't do it, and blah, 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 blah. Even though we both know that if he went in with Sirius, Remus would have been there almost every day.
Yeah.
If not every day. And he would have been raised by Sirius and Remus.
I don't remember where Remus was after the Potters died. I feel like I remember him, like, being off somewhere.
It's kind of like, so there's like several things, like, so since he's a werewolf, he can't really have a job, so a lot of like fan fictions and like stuff like that talk about he just kind of floated around. He just kind of went from job to job. He was living wherever he could,
Yeah.
like, he basically, if you think about it, he basically lost his whole pack,
Yeah.
Sirius, James, even Peter,
Lily.
they were his, Lily,
Yeah.
like, all of his friends, they're all dead. So he's just kind of like in this depressive mode, and he's just kind of going in between jobs because he can't hold a job because he's a werewolf, and it's trying to make money wherever he can. So he's kind of just like in this
like I
in
remember
between of
talking
like
about like being homeless and like not being able to like sleeping underneath trees and stuff, and like having to go into like deep dark forests for his transformations and shit like that. So like I definitely remember that like afterwards he definitely like just went off and did whatever. I feel like I remember Albania being mentioned at some point, but like
basically it was wherever he could go.
I'm wondering, but what I'm wondering is, because I feel like I remember there being a situation where they were like, we were off on some mission for Dumbledore, that's why we weren't with James or Lily that night, like that's why someone else was guarding that, something like that.
Well, okay, so Remus was trying to get the werewolves over to the light side. So that's what Dumbledore had assigned him. And so there was this whole thing. Everybody knew that there was a spy on the light side, right? Everybody knew it. And the boys, like James and Sirius, thought, oh my god, it's Remus because, he's with the werewolves. He's always over there. Like, it's like, at this time you're going to start distrusting people. But so Remus probably was on an assignment to get the werewolves. So that's probably why he wasn't there.
Sirius had
the house,
so he's probably off doing whatever.
Well, the house was also under the Felicitas charm, as we know.
Yeah,
and so nobody was really needed to guard the house. They didn't want anybody there to possibly draw attention to that area. So they were like,
and Sirius was no longer the secret keeper at this point, so there would have been no reason for him to go to the house.
Exactly. So he changed it, but that night he went to go check on Peter because Peter was supposed to go into hiding because they had just changed the secret keeper from Sirius to Peter. And so Peter was supposed to go into hiding, so so Sirius went to go check on the apartment or wherever it was that Peter was staying and found him gone. And that's when he figured out, oh shit,
something's happening.
Peter was,
and then by that point it was too late. He got there, the house was already destroyed. He begged with Hagrid to give him the baby, wouldn't give it to him, said Dumbledore had other plans, so he was like, fine, I'm gonna go find Peter then, and I'm gonna confront him about this.
He basically was like, I'm gonna go kill Peter, because you keep in mind
he was gonna go kill Peter. To be fair, he didn't kill Peter, but he was going to kill Peter. So if this was real world, I feel like it would be like unintentional but still planned manslaughter. Like I don't know what the charges would be, but I'm like.
But also, let's be real here. At that point, Sirius is probably like, I have nothing left. I literally have nothing left.
He doesn't care about the Black family. He doesn't care about anything.
And also keep in mind, like I said, Sirius, no matter how Gryffindor and everything is, he's still a Black. Okay, he still has that Black mentality. That's what he grew up in.
Yeah.
Okay, he has that anger issues. He has all of that. Okay, so of course he's gonna go and kill the traitor.
Yeah. Like I personally believe in the headcanon that what's her name? Wahlberga? Is that her name?
Wahlberga.
Her.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot I have a friend coming over later today. That's right. I forgot about that. Sorry. We'll be fine.
Okay.
They're not coming over until 4:30, so we're still fine.
Okay.
Where was I? Oh, I believe in the headcanon that Sirius's mom would use the Cruciatus.
Oh, for sure.
On the kids when they misbehave. So like, I fully believe that like Sirius was either going to like fully torture Peter to death or just flat out kill him. Mm-hmm. One or the other. But he's gonna die either way.
I don't necessarily think he was going to. Well, he might have done like one Crucio or something, but like it's because he was so mad. But like I don't think he would have gone the full extent of like full out, just just because he didn't want to be like his mom maybe, but I don't know, his anger might have
in that moment he doesn't
that.
care. He's got nothing else to live for, so he might as well just become his mom and then get sent to Azkaban or be executed.
Let me turn my light on. Hold on. Because it's just a little too
lighting change.
Dark. There we go. Sorry, I had to do a bit of a lighting change. It's too dark for me.
All right.
So before we get into it,
if you after all of that,
well, because I want to give you a little bit of homework. So if you are interested, for you, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I got homework.
If you want something to read Marauders and kind of like, it doesn't change anything, so this is not like the time travel fix-its that I like to read and stuff like that, but if you want to read just like a Marauders Era timeline that has no changes, everything happens as it is, that leads up to the Harry Potter universe, read All the Young Dudes.
Oh, I've heard of that one. I have heard of that. I've never read it.
It's on Wattpad, and I think AO3.
Okay.
There are 7 books, 1 for each year.
Holy shit!
It's just like the Harry Potter books. It goes through all the years.
Oh, well, no wonder I've heard of it. It's literally like the equivalent of the Harry Potter series. Jesus Christ.
And honestly, that's where I got most of the fan cast from.
Okay.
Because, she had already casted it and all that stuff. And also there's like this website that you can go and like vote for like the cast or whatever. It was probably when she was still writing it. You could vote for who you wanted, but yeah, so that's a good book that'll go through. It's basically just like reading the Harry Potter series again, but this time with Marauders characters, and you'll get introduced to all the characters I'm about to speak of. And honestly, I'm gonna call it right now. I honestly think you're gonna like Regulus the best.
I have been seeing. Do you know how many Regulus edits I have seen on my fucking For You page recently? I don't know what I clicked on. I don't know what video I liked, but the amount of James X Regulus shit that I have read or consumed on TikTok in the last couple of weeks is insane. So I full-heartedly believe that Regulus is gonna be my favorite. In case you couldn't tell, I'm a Slytherin.
And I'm a Gryffindor, in case it wasn't obvious, But, okay. 22 minutes
So I love me a dark bad boy. Are you telling me that I'm gonna have, like, the Draco equivalent in this other book series?
Yeah. Like, if I had to compare anyone to Draco, Regulus is the perfect one, because he's also the one that turns, just like Draco, ends up kind of, like, flipping, or was never fully on the other side, just like Regulus.
And I would actually say that I personally like Regulus's redemption arc more than I like Draco's. I don't think Draco earned his redemption arc as much as people give him credit for. I love Draco.
True.
Love him. I don't think he earned it. And especially did you read The Cursed Child?
No.
Okay. I read The Cursed Child, so you don't have to. There's a moment in The Cursed Child. It's the only moment that I actually like in that book. It's a god-awful play. I don't know why they've greenlit this. It feels so much like fan fiction, and it's bad fan fiction. But the only moment that I like is where there's a moment where Draco and Hermione are alone. Hermione is the Minister of Magic now, so she, like, completely surpassed Draco in every single way, shape, and form.
Good for her.
And, like, they are constantly going back and forth throughout the whole play, like, arguing back and forth and blah, blah, blah. And then finally there's a moment where they're alone, where Draco looks at Hermione and he goes, I never apologized for the way that I treated you and the way that, like, I acted when we were in school. And I know it doesn't make up for it. It doesn't change anything. but I wanted to tell you that I'm sorry, and I've been trying to raise my son to be better. And it's, like, literally the only moment in the entire, and, like, that's all that epilogue needed, was, like, him to, like, Draco and Harry or Hermione or whoever, they needed to have, like, more of just that, like, nod where they kind of were like, we understand each other. I needed a full-on apology, and we never got it. And so we finally got it in The Cursed Child, and I actually did really like it. So if you include The Cursed Child, which I do not want to do in canon, but if you include The Cursed Child in canon, which it technically is, then I like Draco's redemption arc. But I like Regulus's redemption arc more. So I'm excited to actually see it.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you want a good, like, book series that'll kind of just go through all 7 years, and honestly, I think she writes Peter pretty well, too, because it's something that pisses me off and sometimes in fan fiction is when they just kind of write Peter as, like, this weird little side character that just kind of, like, yeah, he followed them around, but, like, they wouldn't have trusted him with Remus's secret, they wouldn't have helped him become an animagus, he wouldn't have helped with the map if he wasn't an actual friend.
Yeah,
you know,
like,
they didn't actually trust him.
They treat it like Peter was just, like, some, like, outsider that was just constantly they treat him like he's Colin Creevey, basically, where it's like he's there,
Yeah.
and he's, like, part of the group, but that nobody really likes him and nobody really hangs out with him. Like, no, it was a foursome. Like, fucking Wormtail is on the Marauders map. He was part of making the Marauders map. They gave him a fucking nickname. He became an animagus for Remus. Like, he was part of the friend group.
Like, why do you think it hurt so bad when he betrayed them? And why didn't they even trust him in the first place?
They had such a strong bond. They never even thought that Peter could be manipulated in that way. Like, they thought that he was their friend, that he would never do that to him. And they underestimated how strong his spirit really was, and Voldemort was able to get in and corrupt him. And, you know, I still believe, there's still a part of me that believes that Peter loved James and Lily and didn't want them to die and was horrified that they died. But I still feel like in the grand scheme of things, like, he was like, it was either me or them. Is how he rationalized.
There's also like some fan fiction that I've seen where, like, his reasoning is like, oh, he had, like, his mom or something, or his mom, like, you know, his mom had been over there and, like, they were gonna kill her or something, and so he was like, well, you know, there's different things, or, like, there's even some of them where, like, he had been accosted by Death Eaters while they were still in school. You know, like, for, like, 6th and 7th year, like, you know, they were coming after him, they were, like, you know, attacking him and all stuff, and he didn't tell the boys, and the boys never asked, because it was around 6th or 7th year where he turned, because if you think of it, the order of the timeline, the Marauders joined the Order of the Phoenix right after graduation. High school.
That's another thing that I that I didn't like about the movies, was that they aged up the Marauders era characters a lot. They were not like they made them, the actors that they cast, fine actors, all great actors. The actors that they cast were all in their, like, late 20s, early 30s. James and Lily and Remus and Sirius and everyone else were, like, 18 to 22. Like, they were still essentially kids fighting this war.
James and Lily, when they got pregnant with Harry and had him, Lily was, like, 19.
Yeah, because Harry was 1 year old when they died, and she was only, like, 21 or something when she died.
Yeah.
Which means
he wasn't even a year old.
Which means that Remus and Sirius are only supposed to be, like, 35, 36 at the oldest.
And they look like, you know,
they look like they're in their
40s.
50s. Love Gary Oldman. Yeah. Love the actor who played Remus. I can't remember his name. I love those actors. They did a fantastic job. But if they had cast younger actors, it would have, like, shown how this war has constantly been disproportionately affecting the younger generations over and over and over again.
Because that's That's what it is, and that was the issue. It's always been children fighting this war. And
it's always been Dumbledore, an old man, using children to fight a proxy war with someone that with a problem that he started. It's the same thing as like with the Fantastic Beasts movies. He started the Grindelwald problem, and now he's got his former students, which like you could argue that Dumbledore's still kind of young, so he still interjects himself a little bit, but the end confrontation of the third Fantastic Beasts movies is between Newt and Grindelwald until like the last 5 seconds of the fight when Dumbledore comes in to break the blood oath that they have with each other. Did you see those movies, by the way?
Yeah.
That third one was so fucking weird.
It was.
So like, fucking weird. It was also bizarre that they got rid of like half of the original cast and was like, here's all these new characters.
Yeah, I was like, who the like the only ones that they kept were Newt's brother, Dumbledore, and then like the
Kowalski
Tina
and
Kowalski.
Tina wasn't even in the fucking movie. She was in the movie for like 2
seconds.
I
meant
Queenie, the blonde
meant Queenie.
one.
Yeah, Tina wasn't even there, and I was like, isn't that supposed to be Newt's love interest? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her. He literally in canon, he gets
the actress was one of the producers. That's what's weird to me. Like she was one of the producers.
I was trying to look and see if there was like some controversy that would have gotten her like removed from the movies, but I didn't see anything. So if anyone has any information as to why Tina Goldstein wasn't in the fucking third Fantastic Beasts movie, like please let us know.
Let us know. I've always wondered why she wasn't in it, but anyways, back to Marauders Era.
We're 30 minutes in and we haven't even started the ranking yet, and you still have to explain to me who half of these characters are.
Yeah, well, I'll explain to you when we get the pictures up. But yeah, so all the young dudes, you should totally read it. I almost said watch it. You should totally read them. They're really good. So there's a lot of ones that I'll go back and kind of like reread and stuff like that. And if you want any like really good sorry, I'm just trying to if you want any really good time travel fix-its as well, let me know, because again, I have a lot of really good ones of those, because those are my favorite kinds. Okay, so can we see, or do you need me to?
Is that Pedro?
Yeah.
He's gonna sneak his way into everything that we do. Like, we cannot. I'm really sorry, by the way. I watched the first episode of The Last of Us. I'm sorry.
How could you?
I'm sorry. Patrick was bugging me, and I caved to peer pressure.
I can't believe you would do this to me.
I'm really sorry.
It's so rude. It's so rude. Oh, plus, everyone's been talking
about the third episode, and I'm like really worried that I'm gonna get spoilers at this point.
It's okay. I'm the queen at avoiding spoilers, so.
I'm so bad at avoiding spoilers, because eventually I'll just go, what's the point? I'll be fine. It's not gonna ruin anything, and then every time it ruins it.
It just ruins it every time.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go through a quick rundown of these characters, okay? So, right here, we obviously have the boys. Okay, we have James. We have James right here. You know what? Let me just zoom in.
Let's zoom in on the pictures real fast, and then we can zoom back out when we get back to the...
No! See, this is why...
Technical difficulties. Momentary technical difficulties.
There we go. We're back.
Back.
Let me just zoom in. Let's go like 200. Okay. I'm gonna cry. Go away. You go away. How am I supposed to get? Aha. Okay.
I'm just gonna reschedule with my friend because I feel like shit.
If I can move over.
Scroll to the left or to the right. Come on.
I know, I'm trying to, it's, because I'm trying, see what happens if I scroll too far?
And then it just exits out of the presentation. What the fuck?
Literally, it's so annoying. Okay, we're gonna zoom in just slightly more, and then...
Too bad you can't just share it with me so I can look at it on my phone.
I know, because that would
Yes, be I'm sitting right by the door. What?
What you doing?
What do you think I'm doing?
Talking to people?
Yes.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, let me get right up on the screen so that everyone can get right up in my business. Good thing I didn't put makeup on today so everyone can see all my pores.
Oh no. Okay, I know. I tried to make them as big as possible, but
that's
like
okay.
it was
this
just...
is okay. This is just Gillian being blind. Let me find my glasses. And then maybe I'll be able to see better.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. What a concept, Gillian. Your glasses can help you see.
I know, wow.
Wow, that is... All of those pictures just became so clear. Holy shit, I need glasses. I should be wearing my glasses more often. Okay, all right.
This is funny.
So we got the foursome.
So right here we've got James, right, who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson. I personally love that one. And then we have young Remus, played by Andrew Garfield.
Absolutely perfect.
Sirius Black, played by Ben Barnes.
My king.
Then we have Peter Pettigrew. Now this one is, you know, widely talked about. There's several different...
There's
for
so
Peter.
many fan casts of Peter. I like Dane DeHaan best.
Same. That's who I have. That's who I personally liked best. Plus, he's a great actor. He plays a really good villain who you don't even know is like...
I don't like the fan casts that cast like... I saw one where they cast like a young Jonah Hill, and I was like, first of all, wrong age group. But second of all, just because he like gained weight when he was older doesn't mean he was a tubby kid. Yeah. Like, he was a little weaselly, like, the point was that he was a little, like, weaselly, like, small guy. He wasn't, like, he wasn't, like, a Dudley.
Yeah. Let me see. Bring this up. Okay, and then...
Not that there's anything
this one...
overweight, but, like, it's just weird when they, like, assume. Anyway.
Yeah. Like, I know that he is a bigger character, but, like...
But, like, his description, like, in the books, when they're talking about him when he's younger, he's, like, he's a really skinny little, like, I think they call him wafy, is the word.
Yeah.
Ow.
Okay, then this one's Dorcas Meadows, which, okay, I always mispronounce her name, so if that's not right, I'm sorry.
Is that the really Zoe Kravitz?
Yes.
Okay.
So she was, I believe she's the Slytherin. I'm pretty sure she's the Slytherin friend. Her house changes quite a bit, but most of the time she's in Slytherin. And she's friends with Marlene. She's basically in the girl group. Okay, so there's like the girl group and the guy group. The guy group is mainly the four of them, and then the girl group consists of Dorcas, Lily, Marlene, and then Mary.
Okay.
That's like the main girl groups, and there's also Alice as well. Sometimes she's in the group, sometimes...
Yes. Brother interruption. One moment. Anywho, back to the groups. So Dorcas, Lily, Marlene, and Mary are the girl group.
Yeah, so the boy group is the Marauders, obviously. And the female group is Lily, who right here. This one is Marlene, Lily, and not Alice.
See your mouse. I cannot see who you're pointing at, by the way.
Okay. Oh, okay. So Zoe Kravitz. So the one next to Peter is Dorcas.
Dorcas.
And then you go under Remus and Sirius, that blonde
Yes.
girl. That's Marlene. And then next to her is Lily.
Got it.
And then next to Lily is Frank.
Longbottom.
Yep. Neville's dad. And then next to Frank is Alice.
Neville's mom. Is that Timothy Chalamet underneath James? That's Regulus, right?
Correct.
I do know that that's his fan cast. I do know that.
Yes, that is Regulus. And then, so then over here next to Alice, we have Mary.
Got it.
Choosing Gryffindor. So the main Gryffindors all were in a dorm together. You know, the females.
Yeah.
Then we go up above Mary.
Okay.
That's Ted Tonks.
Oh, nice. Heard.
Good
for Andromeda.
Right?
Good for her.
Next to Ted is Andromeda.
Oh, good for each other. Nice. Excellent.
Right? And then right below, right below Andromeda is Petunia.
Interesting. Okay.
And then next to Andromeda is Fabian and Gideon.
The twins, yes. Molly.
Now,
brothers.
Molly's brothers. Yeah, her older brothers, yeah. Now, there's not really a solid fan cast for them necessarily, because they're usually just kind of side characters. But that's my favorite one. But and then right below them, we have Emmeline Vance, which again, I'm not 100% sure. She's more of like a side character. I think she's in All the Young Dudes. I think that's the story that she's from. But yeah, so that's her right below the twins, and then next to the twins is Evan Rossier,
played by Evan Peter.
He's like, yeah, and he's like basically he's basically kind of like the ringleader of the he's the main one who's always a Death Eater. I mean, obviously he's a Death Eater because he is in the Harry Potter series. But he's a Slytherin.
What's his name
the
again?
One who kind of like Evan Rossier.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's a Death Eater.
I mean, I believe you. I don't know enough, so I can't call you out on it. While you're looking that up, remember that lady last episode we were talking about who was in the Vampire Diaries who died? She was also a voice actor for one of the characters in the Last of Us video game.
Really?
Yeah. Because Patrick was like, did you see that lady who died today? And I was like, what lady? And he goes, she was a voice actor in The Last of Us. She had like cancer or something. She was really young. And I was like, I knew the lady from the Vampire Diaries died. Are we talking about the same person? And then I looked it up and it was the same person.
Damn. Yes.
Now Kaitlynn gets interrupted. Yay!
Now I get interrupted. Thanks.
Yours is a better interruption than mine, though.
Well, my dad was just giving me my inhaler so that I don't die.
That's better than what Lucas called me away for, so.
Yeah, so Evan Rossier was a wizard, possibly son of Rossier, obviously, and was a Slytherin student at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry during the 1970s. After graduating from Hogwarts, he became a Death Eater of Lord Voldemort. He fought in several battles during the First Wizarding War. Now, there are some that kind of like have him not so dark, than there are others where he's just a straight up asshole and he's just a straight up Death Eater and he's just, you're done.
You need at least one, like that's kind of the point of the Slytherin household, is like there needs to be at least, there's like one redeemable Slytherin and then there's one Slytherin that's just an absolute fucking prick and you hate them.
Yeah, I mean, the usual redeeming one is Regulus, but sometimes Evan is super close. Like, Evan tends to be one of Regulus's close friends, as well as Severus, in a lot of fan fictions, and so that's why sometimes Evan is good because he's close friends with Severus and Regulus, both of which, they go to the light side. They end up going against Voldemort at some point.
Yeah.
But again, there are some that he doesn't do that.
We could talk about my opinions of Severus when we get to him.
Yes. Well, he's not in this.
Oh, he's not on here? Oh, okay, never mind then.
Mm-mm. Do you want him on here? We can put him on here. But
was he not on the list for the Marauders Era characters?
No, I think because when we were talking about it, we decided.
Oh, that's right. We were going to keep him for the teachers. That's right.
Yeah, in the Golden Trio one.
Because I feel like
he doesn't really change much.
I feel like the Marauders Era Snape is not that different from.
Yeah, no, he doesn't really change. Yeah, he doesn't really change much.
Okay,
we'll save
the Snape bashing for when we rank the teachers then, because I have some things to say about Severus, but we'll save that for another time.
Yeah, so then we get to the parents over here.
I have to find out when we talk about the teachers.
So then we get to the parents over here. So this is Fleamont and
Euphemia?
Euphemia, I think.
What's her name?
Potter. Yeah, Euphemia, I think.
Euphemia? Sure, let's go with that.
Sure. So this is, so Fleamont and Euphemia. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yes, Potter. These are James'
Potter's
parents.
mom and dad.
Yes. Then we have Orion and Wahlberger Black right here. And then I found a name for Peter's mother. I think it's from all the young dudes. Philomena Pettigrew.
Okay.
But again, there's no really set name for her. Her name changes depending on what you're reading. Yes, this is Peter's mom. I also got it from all the young dudes casting thing. So there's that. And then this is John Lupin, Remus's dad.
Wonderful.
So,
okay.
Which I also just realized that Remus's dad is the same as Ted Tonks, but just older, so.
Is that really James McAvoy?
Yeah.
That young one?
Older
oh my god.
Yeah, that young one is James McAvoy. Yeah.
Wow. James McAvoy is one of those white guys that aged pretty damn well.
Yeah, he really did. Okay, wait, let's go.
For some reason, I thought that you put that picture of James McAvoy down for Dumbledore because he looks like Jude Law in the Fantastic Beasts movies. I thought, and I was like, why didn't you just put Jude Law for Dumbledore? But then I remember Dumbledore's not on this list anyway.
Yeah. So, can this go away? I don't want you here. Whatever. Okay. I can't win today. Like, this is just
this technology
just
really doesn't want to cooperate with us.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so let's just start ranking because we are far into this right now.
Should we start with the characters from the books, or should we start from do you want to do characters, less known characters? You want to do boys first and girls, or how do we want to do this?
Let's start with let's just go from left to right. So let's start with the boys and kind of just work our way over.
All right, let's start with James then, shall we?
We'll go up and down, we'll just kind of like go through the students and then we'll head over to the parents. And
sounds good. I already know where some of the parents are going to go, so that'll be super easy when we get to them.
Same. So James Potter. Now, personally, I love this man. I would put him in S, but
I love James. Let's be honest here. James was kind of a bully to Severus. Like, both of those things can be true. He can be a really great guy and also simultaneously a bully. But we do also have to remember that Severus's turn to the dark side started at, year 4. And James and Lily didn't start dating until year 6?
No, 7th year, when they were both head-burning girls. 7th year.
So Severus was already fully well documented as being essentially a Nazi, a Death Eater, for 3 years at this point. So I don't know. I feel
how much can you really blame James for at this point?
really
You know,
blame
like
James for that. I understand that, like, if you break down the dynamics, you've got James, a pureblood, bullying Severus, who's a half-blood.
yeah.
Like, he's got a Muggle parent, and he's poor, and James is really rich. I understand if you break it down that way, it doesn't look that great. But if you break it down to regular decent guy and wizard racist, I think
But also
James is fine.
Yeah, so some of like the common denominators in almost all of the fan fiction is that also Snape's mother is the witch, and she's a prince who is one of the sacred 28, and they're a super well-known family. She got kicked out for marrying a muggle, but he also his side of the family comes from a very well-known, like his other side does carry a lot of weight too. So it's not like, and the Potters aren't even technically one of the sacred 28.
No, they're not. They're
just
rich because Fleamont created a like hairline essentially.
Yeah, like he has like he did Sleek Easy hair potion, and also the Potters are just known inventors. Like every single Potter in the past has invented something.
Yeah.
You know, there's been something they've invented, exactly. And that's what's
it's
made.
Not like with Sirius, where his family's just rich because they're purebloods and they're one of those like sacred families as well. It's not the same thing.
No, so like, whatever. Anyways, so I would
put
James in an
as an S character personally. I think James is fantastic.
I think he's great, and I think
Gryffindor through and through. We love a Gryffindor who actually, like,
I mean, come on.
Like, when Gryffindor, I feel like people give Gryffindor a bad name because when you think about, like, it's courage and bravery and they just run into every situation, it's like, no, like, Gryffindors and Slytherins are two sides of the same coin, essentially. They're both willing to do whatever they have to do for the people and the things that they care about. It's just that Gryffindors usually have a boundary that they won't cross, and Slytherins don't have that.
Yeah, Slytherins are the whole, like, I'll burn the world to the ground and not care, whereas Gryffindors are like I'm gonna try to do as best I can for my family, but at a certain point I have to stop because I can't go, I can't.
But also, once they lose the thing that is keeping them from crossing that boundary is fucked. They don't care about it anymore. If Lily had died but James survived, James would have burned the fucking, like, wizarding community to the ground to kill Voldemort.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay, we have Remus, who I also love.
I also love Remus. I will say that every now and then he gets a little bit too martyry for me. Yeah, where he's like, same. I'm a werewolf, which, like, I understand being a werewolf essentially fucked over his entire life. Like, wizards are very, like, we've already established that wizards are very prejudiced. So obviously...
Very bigoted, yeah.
So obviously, him being a werewolf greatly affected his life, and it makes sense for him to be very woe is me about it. But sometimes I'm just like, then go into the Muggle world. Nobody will give a fuck if you're a werewolf in the Muggle world. Go be a teacher. Go be a doctor.
It's okay. We get it. Yeah, we get it. Your life sucks. I'm sorry, but there's other things you can go and do.
Like, I genuinely, and in all seriousness, like, or like, I feel like America wouldn't give a fuck if you're a werewolf. Why didn't you just leave England?
Yeah, go to America or something. I don't know. But, I don't know, I liked him.
I love Remus, but for that reason, he's an A tier character as opposed to an S tier character for me.
Same. Let's put him there.
He also, like I said at the beginning of this, tried to abandon his child because he was worried that his child would be a werewolf. So...
Yeah, there's, like, too much self-loathing for me to be an S tier. Like, you need to see a therapist. You need to work on some shit.
At a certain point, you just gotta go, you know what? I'm a werewolf, and that's my life, and that's the hand that I've been given, and I need to figure out how to get around it.
I mean, even Sirius, who was abused his whole life, never was that, oh, woe was me.
I know!
You know?
Sirius literally had the Cruciatus curse used on him from like a very young age, and he still was like, I'm gonna take charge of my own destiny. Come on,
dude. So now we have Sirius.
Speaking of Sirius.
It's a good segue. Good job.
I love Sirius. I think Sirius is probably my favorite Marauders Era character.
Okay. So S, I'd put him in S.
I put him as an S. He's an S tier. I love, if we're just talking on casting alone, Ben Barnes is my baby, and Gary Oldman is a DILF. So, just on that alone, Sirius carries a lot of weight with me because I love that.
Nice. I mean, I do love Sirius too, and I especially love him in the Golden Trio era too. Like he's a great godfather. He steps up for Harry. I like him. Yeah. S tier is a good area for him. Now,
the scene where he dies is so fucking heartbreaking. We had to listen to,
I know.
To that again when Patrick was listening to the audiobook. It's actually very different from the movie as well. Because in the movie, Bellatrix Avada Kedavra's him, and then he falls through the veil. In the book, she sends a stunning charm at him, and then he falls through the veil, and the veil is what kills him. But also the veil in the book, this is a total side note. I'm so sorry we're going off on this tangent, but this is a total side note. But the veil in the book is one of the creepiest things if you actually, like, listen to the way that they talk about it. When they first go into the room with the veil, Hermione is the only one that is like, that thing's fucking weird. I don't know what it is. I don't like it. Let's get the fuck out of here. Neville, Ron, Luna, Ginny, and Harry are all, they can hear voices coming through it. They can hear people starting, and the longer they listen to it, the louder the voices get. And they kind of go into like a trance where like they're being pulled towards the veil. Like the veil is actively trying to get people to come through to the other side. You, as you're listening to it, you become fully convinced that there is somebody just on the other side of it, and if you can just move the curtain out of the way, you'll see them. But the second you touch the curtain at all, you're dead. You are already dead. There is no getting you back. You cannot be pulled back from the other side. If even a hair goes over on the other side of the curtain, you're done. You're dead. And if you read the wiki, people say that apparently the reason why Hermione can't hear anything is because Hermione doesn't believe in an afterlife. She doesn't believe that there's anything on the other side of the veil because she doesn't think there's anything that comes after death. But everyone else thinks that there might be something after death so they can hear, and the veil can, like, draw them in. It's really fucking creepy, actually. Like, it's weird.
That is really
It's creepy.
Language.
Anyway, Peter.
Now, this is going to be a weird one because, so we're doing young Peter. Okay, we're doing in Marauders Era. Okay, we're not doing older Peter. Now, if you read the fanfiction, you will know that there is a distinct difference between young Peter and old Peter, okay? Because it's in the Marauders fandom. They're separate.
You literally just said, like, they were friends. Mm-hmm. They had to be friends separate beforehand in order for them to trust Peter enough to be the secret keeper.
And, like, yeah, you can make the argument, well, you know, they also picked him because he was the most unassuming, he was the, you know, smallest, so everyone knew that they followed him around, that he followed them around, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but they wouldn't have even, that was a big thing to keep a secret. If they didn't fully trust him, they would not have given it to him. Yeah, even if it was just as a scapegoat. Then Peter could have just been like, yeah, I'm the secret keeper, but really they kept it as serious.
Exactly. You know? Like, if that's what they were trying to do, then they would have faked it. But they actually let him be the secret keeper. They actually did it. Mm-hmm. So they had to trust him. Which means that it was the ultimate betrayal for him to go against them. No matter how he justified it or how bad he felt, he still did it.
Yeah. But I mean, so for young Peter and how like they're friends or whatever, I think I either put him in C or B.
I was gonna say B. I'm comfortable with C if you want to put him there, but I was gonna say B.
I'm good with B. Let's put him in B.
We might move it around a little bit depending on who else goes where.
And I think he's a great character. I think that he's a good addition to the Marauders. And like I said, there's a lot of different fan fictions where he gets a redemption arc and where he doesn't even, so if you read all the young dudes and you want more Marauders, or even if you read some of them and you want more Marauders where it actually changes, let me know. I got tons and tons.
He's got the Rex, man.
Just let me know. I'll send you links, babe. I got you covered.
We'll put them in the description. We'll shout them out.
Oh yeah, we'll shout you out if y'all want it.
We'll make
Trust
a
me.
TikTok video with all of our favorite fan recommendations.
Exactly, and we'll I'll list them all, and you can just look them up on AO3. It'll be great.
All right.
Now let's jump to Regulus.
I'm a sucker for a bad boy. A? B?
I was gonna say A.
I think
put him at A.
Fine.
I also really like his redemption arc. I think his redemption arc was really good.
We love his redemption
really
arc.
Well done.
The description that Creature gives about the night that Regulus died is like the saddest thing in the world. Like, poor Regulus was just right by his family. He literally, apparently he figured it out quite quickly that he did not want to be a Death Eater and that he signed up for the wrong thing. So I actually like the
But he also...
that Regulus, in a Fix-It fic where he doesn't die, he becomes a spy for Dumbledore.
Yeah, there's a couple where he becomes a spy. There's also a couple where, so the reason that he ended up switching sides is because he figured out that Voldemort was using Horcruxes, and he's like, yo, my family doesn't even fuck with Horcruxes. Like, and he was like, nah. Plus, you tried to kill a child? Nah, I'm done. I'm out.
Yeah.
This is insane. This is too much. I'm done.
Instead of just trying to go and overthrow the Dark Lord himself, he just goes to Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Like, dear God, please don't kill me. I have information. Which, he would have a use to Dumbledore, so he would keep him alive.
Exactly. Now, we have... oh my gosh, Sorry, my computer just brought up another thing for whatever reason. Okay.
Love that.
Now we're moving on to Marlene, which is this blondie right here.
Blonde lady.
She's great. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm mostly gonna rely on you to tell me, because I like, some of them I have some opinions on. Like, I've seen the name Marlene. I've kind of seen, so I would probably put her maybe also like a B. I don't know if that's exactly.
So
above
Marlene
Peter,
Marlene and the McKinnons, like her whole family, they were killed by Voldemort himself as well, because they're a well-known family, and obviously they were going against him. So he went and killed her entire family. And there are some fan fictions, whether you read Wolfstar or not, where she actually dates Sirius, and her and Sirius are together, and like an on and off thing. But then she gets killed like right before James and Lily go into hiding. I'm pretty sure her entire family get wiped out. So the whole McKinnon family is wiped out. And she's a great asset. I think she becomes an Auror too. But just because in a lot of things she's not really there, I'd say B is probably a safe.
I think B is okay.
Section. I think B is a good place to put her. She's a great character. She has a lot of moments, and she's really sassy. Like, if you read a fan fiction, she's super sassy and she's great. Yeah. But yeah, I think B's a good tier to keep her in.
Okay, fair.
Now we're gonna move on to Lily.
I've already said a lot of my complaints about Lily and the way that she's portrayed in the books. But with that being said, I love the idea of Lily. I think that if I read more about her in something where she was more fleshed out, I would probably really grow to love and appreciate Lily.
Oh, I think you'd love her. Honestly, I think you'd love all the girls. I think you'd love Dorcas, Marlene, Mary, Lily, Alice, and John. Like, I think you'd love all of them, if I'm being completely honest with you. Because they're all, like, a lot of times people they write them really well. And that's the good part about them not being super fleshed out in canon. You don't have to follow an OC.
You can kind of do what you want.
Yeah, you can make it however you want them to be. And I personally enjoy that. So, it's fun to me. I would probably put Lily at, like, probably an A or an S tier, to be honest.
I was going to say A or S as well. I'm leaning more towards A just because, like I said, I don't know, like, there's not very much about her in the canon and I haven't read much of the fanon. But I could also very easily make an argument for her being S, so.
I mean, I'm good with A. We can put her in A. Obviously she's brave and she sacrifices herself for her kid.
Yeah, like, literally, like, the Harry Potter would not have gotten nearly as far. Like, he would have been killed by Voldemort year 1 if Lily hadn't sacrificed herself for him.
Yeah. Sorry, this is too small for me now, so it's gonna piss me off. It slightly annoys me when it's off, okay? I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. Listen, I understand.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine, we're leaving it. Stop it.
That's me. Sometimes I'll be reading a fan fiction, and they'll change fonts in the middle of the fucking... drives me insane. I'm like, why did you do that? Why?
It's like, why would you, or like something subtle, like maybe like they made it a little bit bigger. And I'm like, no.
I'm like, put it back.
No.
Put it back.
Right? Or like halfway through they changed like italics. And it's not even like a flashback or anything. Why is it in italics? It's just a normal story.
Oh, I know, right? Like, just leave it alone. Just leave it. You don't need to write in italics. Someone said, I saw someone in the comments of someone's video, they were talking about, like, the weird things that they do on AO3. Someone said that they just type directly into the AO3, like, text box. Like, they don't write it in a Word document and then transfer the Word document over. They just write it in the... like, you can't save that. You either just hit publish or you leave the page and it's gone. So, like... no beta read, no double checking, no, like, spell check, no grammar check, no nothing. Just full confidence.
Just raw dogging it.
Your whole chest, full send it, baby. Like, what?
Yeah. Just raw dogging it. Like, what?
Oh my god, like, seriously.
No,
like.
Yeah, I type all my shit out in a Word document and then I'll just copy and paste it because that way I can also get the format that I want.
Yeah!
You know, like if I want it a certain way.
On it. Like, it's the equivalent of just typing into, like, a comment box.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. I could not believe that when I read that. I was like, you're a psychopath. Anyway, next character.
I hate that. So let's do Dorcas next.
Alright.
I love Dorcas.
Love that name, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think Dorcas is a hilarious name. So just for that alone.
And you know what? Here's an idea. Okay, I honestly think you would love her. So how about we do this? You read some Marauders fanfiction, okay? Read up on the characters, and then we'll do this again.
Once I've reread all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Just based off
so this will be our initial... Yeah, so based off what I've told you in first impressions, this is the list that it's going to be. And then you're going to read some Marauders fanfiction. I'll send you some. I'll send you some one-shots so you can quickly read up, you know? Maybe you can read a little bit of all the young dudes.
I could probably speed through the young dudes. I'm a pretty fast
reader. Well, you don't have to read them all. You know, just like the first couple, and the second one will probably...
of who the characters are.
Exactly, I'm sure, like the Harry Potter books, you usually get an idea of all the characters by the first and second book. So, by the first and second book, you'll be good. You'll get an idea of the characters. And then we can come back and, like, redo this.
And we can see how wrong I was.
Yeah, basically. But I honestly think you'll love Dorcas. Right now,
I'm put her, like, towards a B.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, a B or a C. I mean, she's great, but I honestly think that when you read it, you're gonna fight to get her higher. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay. I was even maybe leaning towards C as well.
Yeah, like B. I mean, since we literally have no one in C, let's put her down to C for now.
I think like C is like middle of the road, like very just like,
yeah.
She is what she is, you know?
Mhm.
All right.
So now let's go to Frank. So a lot of times Frank is this cute little like Neville.
I was gonna say
he's literally a Neville.
Like exactly like Neville, right?
Basically, but a little bit more confident. You know, so he has like a little bit more. He's basically kind of like James, but Neville. You know, so take James's confidence and tone it down a little bit, and you got
Frank. Okay.
So take Neville's demeanor and kind of mix it with a tiny bit of James's confidence, and you got Frank.
So like a C?
Yeah, I mean, he's not
like
usually...
a B, like right in the middle.
I mean, I could go with a C. Neville would be higher, but also Frank doesn't really do much in anything that I really read. He's a fun character to read about, but he also doesn't really do much, you know?
Yeah. And you know what? I like Alice better, and I just wanted to put Alice at B because I like Alice more than I like Frank.
Yeah, and also, a lot of times Alice is a bit more like Neville, and plus, you know, she's in the girl group. She's like one of the close. Some of them she's super close with the girls, and some of them she's not. It just kind of depends. And also
once
some
again,
of them Frank's older.
She falls into the same trope as Lily, where she's already like broken or dead. Essentially, she's brain dead for the entirety of the thing, and her function is to only exist as a lack of a mother figure as opposed to a fully fleshed out character. Like the one time that we see her in the actual Harry Potter books, it's to emphasize that, like, isn't it so sad that Neville has to live without his parents? He has his parents, they're so close, but yet they're still so far.
Yeah, and they don't actually tell these kids. I mean, I don't know what, what's Neville's grandmother's name?
Oh, Alberta?
Something like that. Like, I know.
Alfalfa? Neville's grandma. Augusta. I was
okay.
so close. I was right there.
So, like, I'm sure she probably told Neville at least about her son, but again, I don't know if she really told him about Alice.
Yeah, like, I could definitely see her talking a lot about Frank and telling him all of, like, you gotta be like your dad, you have to be strong like him, you have to stand up for your family, blah, 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 but, like...
So Frank was the one who had the affinity for plants and a lot of things, and so, like, you know, he gets that from his dad, so, like, you know, she gave him his dad's wand to use in first year.
Which that's part of the reason why I think Neville was, like, kind of a bad wizard for the first couple of years of him, like, being at Hogwarts. It's because he
didn't have his own wand.
It wasn't his wand. Like, same with Ron. Mm-hmm. Like, Ron was using a hand-me-down wand for the first couple of years while he was at Hogwarts, and then he gets his own wand when it breaks in year 2, and suddenly he's a much better wizard. Like, it's not rocket science, guys.
No. Like... But whatever. All right, so let's go to Mary. Let's do Mary next.
Okay.
Which is the one right under Ted, right? She has a pink shirt on.
Yes.
So Mary McDonald, she's probably in the same boat, I would say, as like Dorcas. She's fun. She's in the girl group. A lot, like, honestly, it depends on what you read, because sometimes she's a really fun character. She's a really sweet character. And other times, she has her moments where you're just like, okay, you need to fuck off. You know, so, like, she's a hard one. I personally would probably put her at, like, a C or a D.
I was gonna say D. Especially because when she has her moments. Characters like that are interesting, but also sometimes I feel like when they really flip-flop back and forth on that, like, their personalities on whether they're really nice or really, like, you know, they have their moments, I feel like they just do it for plot convenience, and that feels kind of inconsistent to me.
Yeah. I feel like there's just also not a lot on her, and that's why they can flip her around a lot.
Yeah.
Because there's just not a lot that we know, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
And, like, we know that we can be consistent with characterization because if you look across the board at, like, Sirius, there's a bunch of things that were never mentioned in canon, but that we can all agree on in terms of, like, how Sirius was raised and how he acts and the things that he likes. Like, everyone can agree that Sirius liked Muggle metal music.
Yeah. And he
never mentioned anywhere in the books that he likes Muggle music.
No, we can also, like, the same thing with James. Like, yeah, there is kind of a fight between whether Charles is his dad or Fleamont is his dad and all that stuff, but, like, majority of the time it's usually Fleamont and
Euphemia.
Let's just call her Effie.
Effie. Yeah, there Euphemia. You go. Effie.
Effie Pop. Are usually his parents, and 9 out of 10 of the fan fictions I read. Sometimes it is Charles and Doria, which fine. I don't care.
I have heard, because we had this argument when we were, well, not this argument, we had this discussion when we were trying to finalize the list of the characters. I have heard some people say that Fleamont and Effie are his parents, and Charles and Doria are his grandparents, which would make them Harry's great-grandparents.
Okay. Well, because there are some things that say that Fleamont and Charles are brothers.
So they're
and some that say that they aren't.
So it's his uncle, which makes it Harry's great uncle, second uncle, whatever that would be.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But
there's some inconsistencies, but we're going with what we feel based off of our headcanons. So, if you don't like it, find a different podcast.
Too bad. So now we're gonna move on. Let's move on to Ted. Personally, I think Ted's great.
That's a character right there.
Yeah. You said B?
I said B, yeah.
Yeah. You cut out for a second, so I didn't fully hear you. But Ted, definitely, he's a great character. And every single one that I've read, like there's one fan fiction that I read. I will send it to you if you want to. It's where she gets like reborn. It's a time travel fix it, but she gets reborn as Sirius's twin sister. And when Andromeda and Ted get married and they run away, the twins write a letter to them, and Ted writes something back, and he's really sweet, and he's really cute, and I'm just like, oh, love it, Ted, that's so cute.
Oh my god. Listen, there's gotta be, like, this is the thing, there has to be something super special about him to make Andromeda want to, like, they all know what would happen if they married someone who was not pureblood. Everyone knows they'll be written out of their family. They'll be exiled. They're never allowed. They don't get any of their money. Nothing.
Yeah.
So there's got to be something special about him to make Andromeda leave all of that.
Yeah, and I'm convinced that Andromeda would have just coasted through life.
Yeah, like she would have. I don't think she would have been an active participant in all of the horrible things, but like.
But she knew how to play the part and get away with it, and not really do anything.
Exactly. But for someone to come along and convince her that there's something better than playing along and just coasting through life, and that she would be willing to give up the easy life for something that she knew would be way harder and way more difficult, and it would cut her off from her entire family. Yeah, there's got to be something special about him.
Yeah. Well, nice segue into Andromeda now.
Who I know nothing about, so I'm gonna say she's a C tier character, but tell me a little bit about her.
So Andromeda is the oldest sister. Is the older sister to Bellatrix. Well, that's a lie, because I actually got corrected. Bellatrix is the oldest.
Okay.
And then it's Andromeda, and then it's Narcissa. So she's the middle sister, because see, this is where it gets confusing, because in some fan fictions, Andromeda is the oldest, and in some she's the middle.
I've seen it both ways.
So I googled it.
The TikTok series by that girl, the blonde girl who is also a patsy girl, has Bellatrix as being the oldest, Andromeda as the middle, and Narcissa as the youngest.
Because on Harry Potter Wiki, she is the middle.
Okay. So we'll go with that one. If there are there were probably other fan fictions that probably want to emphasize the oldest daughter leaving, because that's a big deal in these old families. The oldest daughter be a certain way, especially in those old families. So I could see them doing that, but canon says that Bellatrix is older.
So Andromeda, she was kind of like the serious in the Three Sisters, but not as like, outspoken. She was more of like, yeah, she wasn't as rebellious. She was more like on the quiet side. So like if you took Sirius's rebelliousness, but like put a Slytherin mask over it, you have Andromeda. So she's better at hiding it. She's very slick about stuff. Like she planned leaving to a perfect T. Like nobody knew that she was leaving until she left.
A tier. A tier.
She's a badass.
That's
she's
iconic.
A badass. Nobody.
I feel
literally
like
nobody knew.
As a Slytherin, I relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I relate to
nobody
just like
knew.
completely being like, you know what? I'm gonna plan a whole other life, and I'm just gonna fucking leave. I'm just gonna do it.
Yep. Nobody knew that she was dipping. Nobody knew that she was even dating this Muggle. Muggle-born. Half of the time, the only person who knew, this might be in canon, I don't know, was Sirius.
I feel like I've heard
tell.
that Sirius knew about it. There are some other the web series that we were referencing. Apparently, Narcissa knew and was trying to talk her
Possibly.
out of it, but that's very iffy, up in the air on whether or not she knew. I would believe that if she told anyone, it would be her cousin Sirius, because he got exiled before she did.
Yeah, he left.
Yeah,
in there
and then got exiled. Which is kind of like saying, I'm quitting, and then they say, actually, we're firing you.
Yeah, well, because, he showed up at the Potter's house one night, like, super beaten up and everything like that, and so they took him in. And they actually never burned him off the family, well, they did burn him off the family tree, but they never technically disowned him, because he was still the heir
to
the Black House.
When his mom died.
And he became the head of house. Now that could also just because he was the last of the bloodline, and Magic just immediately was like, well, screw it, you're the last one with the family name, so.
Yeah, like, if it goes that way, or, like, even, like, I could totally see a world where, like, they blasted him off as, like, the ceremonial thing, but in secret they still left it, being like, maybe one day he'll come back.
Well, that's how it is in a lot of fanfictions too, where, like, blasting them off the family tree, like the tapestry, doesn't mean that they're actually fully disowned. Like Andromeda was fully disowned. She was like, through magic, she was fully disowned.
Yeah, like none of her
Sirius
none of the shit, nothing. Like, she's not, for all intents and purposes, she was no longer a Black.
But also, I feel like the reason they didn't do it with Sirius was because in that generation, like, the Bellatrix, Andromeda, Narcissa, Sirius was the only male.
Yeah, because Regulus had died by that point.
Well,
not yet,
he was the oldest.
Was doomed to die, we know.
Yeah, but he was also the oldest male.
Yeah.
So as the oldest male, he in the Black family, he automatically became first in line for the heirship. No matter that the other girls were older than him, he automatically became first in line because he was the male. He was the oldest male in the family.
And also, technically, they were cousins, weren't they? They weren't siblings?
No, they're cousins.
Yeah, so even then, even if it went to
well, it's just
it goes down through Orion Black's bloodline, because he's the oldest male in the Black from his generation. So it would have to go, like, if we're talking about it as a line of succession, like in the royal family, it would go oldest son to second son, and then any daughters. But then after Regulus, it would go back to his brother before it would then go down to his kids.
Yeah.
So even before it would go to the daughters, to Andromeda or Bellatrix or Narcissa, it would go to whoever Orion's brother was.
Yeah, because some of the families, it doesn't work like that. It can be a female or whatever, but
the Black
so I think that's another reason.
Very particular about that kind of shit. So
yeah, that's also another reason why I think they didn't fully disown him, because all of the Blacks, like all the men in the Black families, were getting sick. They were dying. The Black family was dying off very quickly. And so I thought that's another reason why they didn't completely disown him, was so that in case, they all did die off, there would at least be one person.
And Regulus did die before Wallabergra and
Orion did, yeah.
So, like, if they completely disowned Sirius and then Regulus died, it wouldn't go to anybody. it would just
and the black family would just die off.
To the ministry?
Yeah, the black family would just die off.
Yeah, and then all their gold and all their fortune and everything would go to the ministry.
Just go to the goblins, or the goblins would confiscate it.
Or I guess if there was no buddy left, like, with the black name, like, I could see it going to Narcissa.
Or Andromeda.
Probably not. He was exiled. I could see it, and then at that point, Bellatrix was already in Azkaban.
Mm-hmm. Or even,
But I guess that doesn't matter, though, because Sirius took over the Black Estate, even though his family died while he was in Azkaban.
Well, because he got out, too.
Well, yeah, but, like, it would have gone...
Because, see, this is also why Sirius's whole imprisonment thing bothers me, because there's another fanon thing where it's like, well, magic knows if you broke the law. Magic will know if, say you did something so that you're not allowed to have your assets. Well, he still has his assets. So obviously he did nothing wrong. If magic is still saying you have your shit.
Yeah. Then he didn't do anything.
Exactly. Is nobody going to look into it? I guess not. Yeah. But whatever.
It really just shows that the ministry was like, haha, Dumbledore, we took one of your guys. And Dumbledore was like, I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a shit. He's no use to me anymore. But yeah. So.
But that's my
whatever.
Black family. Anywho.
Let's do Petunia. Personally, I'd put her at like an F or an E.
I was gonna say E. I did read a fan fiction, an AU fan fiction, where after Dumbledore drops off Harry and Vernon starts being terrible to Harry, I did where basically Petunia says like, fuck you, Vernon, and she takes Dudley and Harry, and they go off and she raises them as a single mom, and like, and it's a very sweet, very, very sweet fan fiction. Like, Petunia is fiercely protective of Harry, like very, very loyal to him, like finds out about the wizarding world or about the wizarding war, the war battle at Hogwarts, and after it's over and Harry sends her an owl and says like he's okay, she literally takes Dudley, drives up to Scotland, walks her ass up to what she thinks is an abandoned building that looks like Hogwarts, and fucking bangs on the door until McGonagall comes and lets her in so that she can see that Harry is okay for herself. It's very sweet, but it's an AU. It's not realistic. Yeah. Petunia was not taking care of Harry out of any love for him or really any love for her sister. She was taking care of him out of guilt. Dumbledore guilt-tripped the fuck out of her.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've read a fan fiction or two where she's been good, or like one where like Vernon's abusing her too, and she's trying to protect the kids. Like I've read.
There are some things where they try to make her better, but like if we go off of what is in the books, she's nosy, she's petty, she doesn't care about other people, and she spoils the fuck out of Dudley to the point that he's horrible. Dudley is awful.
He's awful. I'd put her. I put her in E.
Because if we're talking about Marauders Era Petunia, she's just really fucking jealous that she never got to be special, and now her sister is like taking over the spotlight, and she's part of this world that she doesn't get to be part of.
Yeah, and there's also one thing in fanon that we kind of all agree on, is that like Petunia, when Lily's letter came, sent a letter to Dumbledore and was like, "Can I come?" Yeah, and he's like, "Can I come?" And and so that's kind of what made her also like jealous and upset. Like, why do you get to go and I don't? And
Yeah, and like Dumbledore did not take the time. That didn't happen. But in this fanon, because I also agree with that, Dumbledore didn't take the time to say no because X, Y, and Z. Like if she had like sent a letter to McGonagall would have come down in person and been like, sorry, you can't do this is why, but also here's what you can do to like be your own person, and like would have encouraged her to go on and do something in the Muggle world. Dumbledore was just like, no, you're not special. Fuck off.
Yeah, which didn't help at all.
Doesn't help.
Now the Pruitt twins, Fabian and Gideon. Now, look, personally, I'm a sucker for twins, okay? But also, Fabian and Gideon are literally Fred and George. No question. Like, no, they are literally Fred and George. They're pranksters of this generation.
FG. Like, we already know. It's literally like if you took out the Marauders,
guys,
okay? Like, we just got
no. We just, but like they're basically the only ones that can give the Marauders a run for their money are the Pruitt twins. And a lot of times they're older than the Marauders, so they're already out of school by the time the Marauders are further. I think they're 2 or 3 years older than the Marauders, so by the time they're really getting into their pranks, they're already
gone.
School.
Yeah.
But the twins are very much Fred and George. Like, Fred and George are basically them reincarnated.
All right. Well, then, if they're basically Fred and George, we're going to put Fabian at a B and Gideon at a C, because that is how I would rank Fred and George, because I love Fred more than I love George. I love both of them very much, but Fred's my baby.
I do love Fred. I'm sorry, George. I love them both.
In the canon, the way that they are literally described, the way that you can tell them apart, is Fred is the leader and George is the follower. So Fred will be the one making statements, making plans, and George is the support, uplifting Fred to be able to make those plans. So, listen, I love me a nice, supportive man that's going to be a ride or die, but I need a man that's going to be like, we're going this way, and I'm going to be like, yes, we're going that way.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we're going that way.
Exactly. And that's Fred.
Like, they're both great. They're both super funny. But yeah, they're kind of, like, honestly, they're not exactly the same as Fred and George. Like, I'll send you some Pruitt twin stuff, too, so you can,
Yeah.
But
also, I will say, George has, I think, the best scene in the movies between the two of them, when in the first part of the 7th movie, when Harry is zipping up Ginny's dress and they make out in the kitchen, and George is just sitting there at the counter drinking his coffee, just goes, morning. Best scene of one of those two in the whole thing. That's the best scene. So good.
Funny, and that shows exactly who they are too. Like, as people, like, they're just.
And the only reason you know it's George is because George is missing the ear at that point.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Okay, so we have Emmeline, which, again, I'm not really super familiar with her.
About this bitch. I think we can just throw her at D and move on.
Okay, let's just throw her at D, because I don't really know her. I need to reread all the Young Dudes, because I personally forgot a lot of what happened and a lot of the characters that were in there, so maybe we'll reread it together.
And then we'll redo this list, and then we'll see if anything changes.
Exactly. Now, Evan Rossier, I honestly, for me, where I put him fully depends on what fanfiction I'm reading, because in some of them, I'd put him at, like, a B, like, right under Regulus, but for some of them, I'd put him at, like, an F. Because he's just a complete dick.
Do we want to split the difference and go with a D?
Yeah, we can put him at a D, because, like, it's not like he's...
Well, which one shows up more? Like, him being the bad guy or him being the good guy?
Bad guy.
Maybe move him down to an E.
Okay. Yeah, because he's, like... He's usually the bad guy, but there is, the few times where he's not so bad. And, he kind of gets, but that's only like a handful of them. The majority of them, he's a complete dick. And a lot of times he's helping that, like, the other Death Eaters, like, go after Peter and, all that stuff. So,
yeah, I think E's fair.
Okay. Now we're getting to the parents.
All right. We've got some opinions.
That's my opinion.
You're gonna tell me that I'm wrong? You're gonna look at me and you're gonna tell me that I'm wrong?
You tell me that I'm wrong?
My opinion. Excellent.
Oh my god. Okay, so should we start with the Blacks or the Potters?
Well, we can pretty easily, I feel like, with the Blacks, I feel like we can just put both of them at F.
Yeah, because they're kind of... I read one singular fanfiction where Orion wasn't that bad, but he still didn't do shit to protect his children, so he's still a shitty person.
Yeah, like, being a distant father doesn't make you any better. Like, just because you're not participating in the abuse, it doesn't make you any better if you're not doing anything to actively stop the abuse.
Exactly. But, yeah, so they're both
Wallaberga is just pure fucking evil. She's just a cunt. We can maybe bleep that one out. I don't know if maybe we want to have that word in the podcast, but
I don't know,
she's a see you next Tuesday, alright? She is awful.
She's the worst. Now we have Fleamont.
Even her painting is horrible. Her painting just
literally
yells slurs at people when you walk by.
Literally just screeches nonstop. It's like,
get out of my house! It's not your house anymore, bitch. You're dead.
You're dead. It's your son's house now. Deal with it.
Fuck off. If you didn't want him to have the house, you should have fully disowned him, you traditionalist.
Exactly. Now we have the Potters. Personally, I'd put them at an S because I love them with my whole heart.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know a ton about them. I know that they were really good parents, and I know that they took Sirius in when he came to them for an abuse, which right off the bat makes them at least A characters for me.
So Fleamont and Effie have this thing where the common fanon, okay, they're older parents, they couldn't get pregnant, they finally got pregnant with James. He was their miracle child, he's an only child, so they're on the older side, and they've always wanted a big family, they've always wanted more kids. So any one of James's friends who comes over is immediately treat them like their kids. They're like, and a lot of times they know about Remus's condition. So when he comes and visits, like especially when they know a full moon's coming, they ward off a separate area for him where he can go and change safely. And it's like they're like, if you're a friend of James, you're now our kid.
Okay.
End of story.
I love those kinds of parents. Those kinds of parents are wonderful, and they literally, in some instances, save lives. Like, they literally saved Sirius's life.
Yeah, they saved Sirius, and I also fully believe that if Peter went over more, he probably would have been able to save Peter. Yeah, I would personally put them at like an S tier because as far as parents go,
I feel like I read a headcanon one time where Wallaberga came over to the Potter's house to try and figure out like what had happened to Sirius and like try to get him to come home, and Effie like burst out of the house like, you're a fucking bitch, you cannot come anywhere near him, like, don't.
Also keep in mind Effie was a Black before she married the Potters.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh.
Yes, Effie. Now this is where it changes a bit. Sometimes it's Doria who is the Black, who married into the Potters, and then sometimes it's Effie. But it's usually whoever is James's mother tends to be the Black.
Got it. Okay.
Who married into the Potters.
This is the Potter.
So.
Who are
technically
from the. What's the name of the family? What's the name of the three brothers that died in the...
Prevel.
Yes, they are descended from them.
Yes, the Potters are descended from the Prevels, and technically, if you put it that way, James and Sirius are cousins because his mother. Yeah, so
listen,
technically,
the Wizarding World is full of incest. I don't know what to do about it, guys. We gotta accept it, apparently.
But in my fanon, or our fanon, I like to think that Effie is a Black, and she married into the Potters, and so if Wahlberger showed up, you bet your ass she'd have been like, you get out of my house.
Yeah,
you get off of my property. Yeah, so
like,
I would honestly put them...
is cursed on little kids? Well, we'll see what happens when I use it against you, bitch. So I can agree with you that they're probably S tier. Those are some damn good parents.
They're amazing, and they immediately just...
And honestly, this might be a hot take. I don't think we get a lot of very good parents. in the Harry Potter universe. Like, even Molly and Arthur are not great parents.
No, because like they're like, especially towards the twins, they're not that great, and they're always comparing the younger ones to the older ones. And like, oh, Bill and Charlie do this, oh, Bill and Charlie do that, and like, why can't you be like Percy?
Yep.
Like,
and
like
Molly like constantly insults the women that her sons date. Like, she insults Hermione, she insults Fleur. Like, she treats
like,
Harry better than she treats some of her sons.
yeah. And that's also like, where kind of like some of the Weasley bashing comes in fan fictions, because they're like, oh, she was totally just trying to use him to, get him to marry into the family and get his money and blah 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 blah.
Yeah, like the first time that Molly introduces Harry to Ginny, she's like, she's totally in love with you. She hasn't stopped talking about you all summer. And it's like, Harry's 12 and Ginny at this point is freshly turned 11. They are children.
Yeah.
Like, and you're already trying to be like, she's in love with you. She's in love with you. Just don't you forget that she's in love with you. Like, it's weird.
Yeah. And she always manages to, like, every time Harry's in the house, to like embarrass Ginny somehow, so that Ginny goes all red and like runs away, blah blah, like trying to
Make her
endear
like
her to Harry
and everything. And it's like, Harry doesn't start getting interested in Ginny until she starts being independent and being her own fucking person.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh shit, okay.
Which, like, correct. But
Correct.
Molly's not great. Xenophilia's not great. Lucius and Narcissa are not great.
There's a lot wrong with the parents.
Hermione's parents barely show up, but from what it seems like, they were fairly innocuous. If anything, just kind of just left Hermione to do her own thing.
Which, to be fair, they're muggles, so they probably don't know really how to, like...
That is fair, but I also get the sense that, like, I don't know why, maybe this is just me, but I get the sense this has been folded over itself the entire time that we have been filming.
I didn't even notice.
I didn't notice. I was like trying to pull on the side of the jacket, and I was like, why is it like folded up? Where are the buttons? I get the sense from Hermione's parents that it was very much like, oh, she's super smart, so we don't need to parent her. Like, she's so mature, she's so intelligent, like, we don't need to help her with things. And it's like, she's still a kid.
Plus, they're also doctors themselves, so, like, I'm willing to bet you they probably, like, push that, they probably push that mentality on her, like, you gotta, like, be independent, like, you can,
be
that
super
kind of stuff,
smart,
which isn't necessarily,
you gotta succeed, all of that.
Which isn't necessarily bad parenting,
it's not bad
but it's
parenting.
not.
It's just a lot of pressure
it's not the great.
Put on a 6 to 10-year-old. Let's say they waited until she was like 6. Actually in kindergarten.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Now let's move on to the last two parents.
All right. Philomena.
Now. Yes, Philomena Pettigrew, which again, depending on what you're reading, where you're going, she has a different name.
Who is
honestly,
that
probably
actress?
a different
Is that
face.
Florence Pugh?
No, I don't know who this actress is, to be completely honest with you.
That's fine. I was like looking at her trying to figure out who that was.
Her name is Sarah Goldberg.
No fucking clue.
I don't know. She could definitely pass as Peter's mother, though.
Yeah. She kind of looks like Dane DeHaan, honestly. I was looking at her and I was trying to figure out how I was like, Margot Robbie mixed with Florence Pugh with like a little bit of Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but yeah,
put all
so
that
there's
together and you make it a woman. If you made it a man, you'd get Dane DeHaan.
Yeah. So this one, depending on what you read, like I'm gonna like some of the fanfictions I'm gonna send you, like especially the Time Travel Fix It ones, there's a couple in there where she'd probably be like a B. Hard, solid B. But then there's some of them where like she can probably be like a D or an E, because she doesn't really do anything. She's just kind of there. She's just there because he has to have a parent.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and like in some of them, she's super sick, and like that's how he it's kind of like what changes his mind, because he has like no one left. He feels like he has no one left. His friends weren't there for him, or he thinks they weren't, and so that's why he went to the other side, and blah blah blah. I don't know. So there's just a lot of different ways you can go with her. So that's probably why I'd personally put her at a D.
I was leaning towards D.
Just because there's not really much, like, she's a good character, but a lot of times she's just there because he needs, someone needs to birth him.
Someone needs to exist as the parent that he goes home to during the summer. Like,
and to even more emphasize that point, half the time she doesn't even have a name.
It's just Mrs. Pettigrew. Nice.
Yeah, like, you can come up, but also it's another thing with Peter's background, even on Harry Potter Wiki, it's not fleshed out.
No, like,
we don't know shit about him.
If it wasn't mentioned in the books, J.K. didn't write it.
Like, we also don't even know, like, what line his mother comes from, because she was a pureblood. We don't know what line she comes from. But we don't know. Technically, a lot of common, though, in Fanon is the Selwyn line.
Okay.
Because, yeah, that's, like, a lot of, like, the common ones. Like, the very, like, Fanon, that's usually what people will go with, is the Selwyn line.
Yeah. You could even go, like, I mean, fuck, all you had to do was say she's part of, like, the Bones family, or the Abbott family, or, fuck, make her a Zabini. Who gives a shit? Like, at that, just anything.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Because my AirPod just died. Okay.
Oh, sick!
Again. So let's do John Lupin now. Now, look, with this man, sometimes
was he accepting of what happened to Remus, or did he become abusive about it?
I don't think he was necessarily abusive, but he kind of, like, I feel like he's where Remus gets his self-loathing from, because I feel like he hated it, because he's the one who instigated, like, he was talking bad about Greyback in the Ministry, and someone heard him, and so for payback, Greyback went and attacked Remus. And so I feel like a lot of his, this doesn't make it right, but I feel like a lot of his, he basically just ignored Remus in a lot of them. He just ignores him. He's just not there. He just kind of, like, kind of pretends like Remus isn't there sometimes, and I think that's a lot of his self-loathing, and I think that's where Remus gets it from.
Yeah, because that right there says, like, this, because you are a werewolf now, I do not care about you. Now you are no longer worth my time, my effort, my energy, my love, nothing. Like, totally.
Because yeah, like, I can totally see how Remus became, what he is, how he is because of how his dad treated him.
Yeah, even if someone didn't, once again, this is a situation of, even if you're not actively abusing, neglect is also a form of abuse. Like, it still counts.
Yeah, so for that, I'd probably put him at, like, an E, because he's not quite at Orion and Wahlberg's level, but he's not great either.
It's not like he kicked him out for being a werewolf, because I could totally see a world in which Orion and Wahlberg would kick, like, Regulus
they just kill
out
him.
if he. Oh yeah, they'd probably just flat out honor kill him. If we're
they just
honest,
kill him.
They would just murder him.
Yeah, they'd just flat out kill him. Like, they don't care. They would just flat out murder him.
So, like, but once again, just because you're not actively doing something that would be, like, construed as abuse doesn't mean that it's not still abuse.
Yeah. But, alright, well, this is our tier list.
That's our ranking of Marauders Era characters. James is the best, and Wahlberg is the worst.
I feel like that's
That's pretty accurate, honestly. I feel like everyone else, I'm pretty happy with where they are based off of what I know about them right now. You're gonna reread. I'm gonna read for the first time. Maybe we'll do, like, an episode where, like, after every book that we finish, we'll do a recap and give our opinions on how the book is going.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. We can always come back to it, but yeah, that's our ranking. We're already at almost 2 hours.
I love it. This is the longest one we've done so far, and that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, also, to be fair, there's gonna be a couple parts that we have to, like, cut out.
Yeah, we could do. But, yeah. There's gonna be some stuff cut out of this. Sorry. Anyway.
we'll cut that part out. It's fine.
But thanks so much for watching, guys.
Yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed it. Gillian, I hope you enjoyed your little lesson in the Marauders Era.
This was fascinating. Honestly, there were so many characters that I did not know I didn't know about. This is crazy.
Yeah, and be prepared because there's gonna be because trust me, girl. I was like, I knew myself, and I knew I was like, if I read one Marauders fanfiction, I'm gonna be hooked, and I was right.
All right,
I read one, and I was like, fuck.
Maybe since we've done the Marauders era now, which is one that you know about, we can do the second generation next, the kids of the kids, because I know about them since I read The Cursed Child.
There we go. We can do that now.
That would be really fun, and then we'll flip the tables, and I'll know everything about them, and you won't. Not kidding.
You're just jealous.
Yeah. Listen,
okay,
I just never got into the Marauders fanfiction. I was more interested in just reading one-shots about having threesomes with Fred and George. Sue me!
Babe, then just do what Kait and Gigi though.
Well, now you've got me. Now I'm in.
There you go.
All right. Well, if you'd like to,
I hope you guys enjoyed.
Ooh.
What?
Nothing. We were just completely talking over each other on that one.
I know.
It's all right.
All right. Well, okay. Well, we hope you guys liked this video. If you liked it, please like the video. There's a little thumbs up button. Why don't you go click that? And if you really liked it, why don't you hit the little red subscribe button? Stick around.
Do it. Come on, hang out with us. You might as well. It's free.
Exactly. It's free. It doesn't cost you any money.
No.
And if you want to be notified when we post, hit the little bell button.
The bell. That part is also free.
Yes, it is free. So make sure that you hit both of those and like it and comment down below who your favorite Marauder character was.
All free things. Man, we are just, look at all these opportunities to take advantage of the free system.
Right?
You might as well do it.
Just do it. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.